Hello and welcome to Rantzerker number 5, Anita, Pieta, which is an obscure reference to religious iconography. It's Michelangelo's Pieta. I figure it's appropriate since Anita is our savior.
She is. She's our Messiah. And oh, how she suffers.
And oh, how stunning and brave she is.
How beautiful in her suffering.
Yes. How gloriously lovely that she suffers so beautifully for us and our sins. Okay.
And our savior.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. All of you heathens, you need to accept the word of Anita into your heart, and you will become truly saved. Truly, you will be uplifted.
Praise be to Anita. I don't even know how to do the Roman Catholic cross thingy, so I just fucked it up. What? I don't know how to
I was dealing with all my various tabs, so I didn't actually see what you did.
Oh, I tried to do the little where you cross yourself, but I don't know how to do it, so.
Oh.
My parents didn't teach me right.
Oh, well, they didn't really teach me right either.
So, all right. So I guess we should get this show on the road, which means I have to screen share.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you do.
Screen share the entire screen.
Of course, if you, we might actually have you know what? I thought we might have a mailbag.
Oh, okay. Should I stop?
I'm not sure because I'm trying to find it, but they didn't actually put the name in the because I've been asking people to put the name of the show in the mail that they send us, so I can see it really quickly and find it and pull it out for the reading upon the show, but I don't think they actually did that. But anyway, if you do want to send us a message on this particular show or for this particular show, you can send it to topic@badgerpod.com. Please use paragraphs if you're creating a very long email, and please put the name of the show in the subject line so it can be sorted properly. The name of the show you'd like to have us address it in the subject line.
So whether that's Rantzerker or Honey Badger Radio or
Nerd Revolt,
or
Nerdcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Or even Ragening. We might do that. I'm not entirely sure. It seems a little bit weird, but maybe if you want to send something to the Ragening, you can. Maybe me and Mike will talk about it and laugh
and rage.
All right. Let's do this thing.
Okay, so I'm screen sharing and I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna go over here. You can see that?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, I'm gonna go to full screen. This is gonna be cumbersome if you want me to turn my camera back on.
Oh no, don't worry about it. I'll just turn my camera off so I'm not interfering with the the bandwidth, as it were.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Here we go.
This thing.
This is the question and answer session for the online harassment conference, or the conference.
And who was involved in this conference? Let's give people a little bit more of some background.
Well, this is like a conference for media personalities, so journalists and opinion columnists and stuff like this. And they had I believe this is in Sweden, but I'm not 100%. Yeah, Malmo, Sweden. So,
and who was the speakers?
The speakers are Lori Penny. She's kind of my new favorite after Anita Sarkeesian, and Anita Sarkeesian. So in very good company. And then I have no idea who the other woman is. She has in no way come onto my radar in some kind of incarnation that really pissed me off and made me remember who she is. I forget what her name is, Kate Miltner or something like that.
And they're all going to inform us how very frightened, as women, how very, very frightened of the online world we should be.
Yes. This really seems to be. They finished their little panel discussion, their presentations, and all of that, and now they're in a Q&A session post presentation. Apparently.
Okay.
So, here we go.
We could continue with the. No, you don't have to serve us the dance show if you don't want to, and you don't have to share a fairy story either. But I think we have questions in this audience, and I have my mic guy here. So how this happens is that you wave your hand, and you
jazz hands. Excellent. No applause. No applause. No applause needed or wanted. Jazz hands only. Yeah, sir. I'm only just breaking it because
DMC.
I don't want the DMCA claim.
DMCA claim.
And where you're from and your questions. So we have Johanna there, and then here, and then here.
And everything gets silent.
Johanna, I'm from. I work mostly in Sweden. Let's just say, and
let's just say. That's a weird way to put it. I work mostly in Sweden. Let's just say.
Okay. Well, I mean,
maybe it's just an idiom of the language or something. The translation.
Yeah.
She's very, very distinctly has a very distinctly Scandinavian accent. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't speculate on that. Let's get to the meat of the matter. But I understand what you're doing. For those of you who don't know, we have to stop it about every 20 seconds, or we risk a DMCA. Complaint or a flagging through YouTube. So that's why we're getting these really choppy bits. And then when we stop it every 10 seconds, it's because we're pissed. But let's continue.
No. And I stop it every 10 or 20 seconds also because I have to blow my nose because Dan Moore took me out and took photographs of me out in nature. And
no, it's because you're plague-ridden.
Nature hates me. Nature hates me.
Nature is a plague. Okay, let's do this thing.
Okay.
I'm a woman who writes in public and appears in public, and I've been incredibly blessed by basically not ever being attacked.
Okay. All right. So just to reiterate, this is a woman who has never experienced cyber violence as defined by these individuals. Never.
She's never been attacked. She's never been harassed. She's never had like scads of hate mail, sent to her. She's never open. She's not like Steph Guthrie. She doesn't have a folder on her desktop called death threats. She's been working, for however long, years, right? And
never experienced any of this.
Never had a problem.
Of course, that doesn't lead her to actually question whether or not the speakers are being truthful or perhaps exaggerating the issue. Or maybe it does. Maybe she's now going to offer a counterpoint. Let's find out.
Perhaps in the minds of this group's reason to. And even at this moment, as I say this out loud, and I know this is being streamed, I'm terrified that in itself will make me a target. And every time I'm
So she's terrified that asking a question during a Q&A session is going to make her a target because it's being streamed. And yeah.
Well, I guess she's right because
these three women have convinced her that that's something she needs to worry about now.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's technically right because we are now, I guess, making her a target of our criticism.
Well, but she's not our target. That's the thing, right? We're not criticizing her per se. I mean, like. What I'm criticizing here is the fear mongering that's going around that somebody like her, somebody like this woman, Johanna, who has never had a problem is now, terrified that she's going to be targeted.
Because she's part of a live stream. Okay, let's just continue this.
Cry now, but every time I publish something or every time I go to a live event, I'm afraid. And I shouldn't have asked for the word now, but how do we deal with this? What can you tell us? Because you guys are so brave.
What?
Oh. Complaining is courage now.
Well, okay. But this is exactly what we're talking about. about how this narrative damages women. This woman has never experienced this problem.
She even said in her, fairly lengthy preamble, even though I write about some things that would maybe, given what you've talked about, maybe make me a target, and I've never been targeted. I've never been attacked.
Even though she says that, because they're up there presenting this narrative, she's suddenly in tears and terrified of the future.
It's just sad.
It's like watching someone cut off their own legs.
You know why? Because you might get an ingrown toenail and it could turn gangrenous, and so you might as well just lop them off from the knee down.
Yeah, like this is you don't need those. Those are a threat. But it just boggles my mind. And how is it that she got sucked into this so easily? Why would she? I mean, it really begs the question: what happened in this conference?
Yeah.
Why did they sell this shit? Like, what are they doing? Like, what kind of, I don't know, weird mesmerism are they doing to make this woman discount her own experience to embrace this fear? And she's like crying.
Yeah, no, that's what really got me the first time that I ever watched this, which was on, I think it was on a Thunderfoot video or something. And it just struck me like she is absolutely in tears. She's like she's not just now I'm concerned. She's in tears and terrified of something that's never happened to her and maybe never will.
Okay, and here's the thing. What if this entire narrative was based on statistics that are false and incorrect? So essentially they have terrified this woman based on something that isn't true. Is that not like abuse?
Yeah.
And the thing is that I've been looking into the research specifically on cyber violence, and the stuff I'm finding, it's not, women are not specifically targeted for it.
Nope.
They're not. There's no specific thing going out there and targeting women any more than it is for men. And I was like watching, even just watching like a video. My husband was watching celebrities read mean tweets. You look at those tweets, like most of the tweets to the male celebrities were about their appearance. And
yeah.
It's like, there was no difference. There was no perceivable difference between how the tweets targeted the male celebrities versus the female celebrities.
Yeah.
They were just, and so even in that instance, you don't see a disparity. And you don't see a disparity in the statistics. And this woman didn't experience it. And what are they doing? Like, what are they basing this on? Where are they going with it? When does it stop? Like, if they can make this entire fucking narrative of fear and feed it to women, and nobody ever says stop, you're basing this on nothing. You're basing this on faulty statistics or anecdotes that you're not even looking at the other side of the anecdotes, all the men who are receiving abuse. You're basing this on a complete fiction. When do we say stop it? What you're doing is it's self-abuse.
Well, how do you say stop it, right, to the UN when, because I watched the UN panel, right? And one of the speakers there, it wasn't Anita or Zoe, it was just one of the speakers, said something about that gendered violence against women. So gender violence against women is still a major concern. It's still a major epidemic because it happens in every country. So in every country in the world, at least one woman suffers violence. Therefore, it's epidemic, right? Well, okay, in every country in the world, men suffer violence. So how is this a special problem for women? Even if you didn't consider, even if you were like not going to consider that men are more targeted by violence, they are more likely to suffer violence, right? Even if you just threw that all away, the fact that if there's only one man in a country that suffers violence, right? In every country. And there is only one woman. It's an equivalent problem. It's not a special problem for women. It's not an epidemic for women, right? The fact that it exists does not mean it's a massive social epidemic, huge societal problem. No, it's a problem for that woman, for sure. And for whatever men are experiencing violence. But it's not a massive freaking epidemic. It's not a global problem. It's not something that's unique to women. Like, I just...
Well, I was thinking about this, and I realized that if these problems are presented as problems that don't target women, that nobody will really care about them. Because if it just targets people, then people stop caring, so they can't make money off of these problems, or so-called addressing these problems, which really doesn't do anything, because if you can't fill up one half of a bucket. You can't drain one half of a bucket. It's impossible. So if you don't address both sides of the problem, the fact that men and women are targeted by it, you're not addressing anything at all. But I realize that it doesn't sell.
Mm-hmm.
It just does. They have to render the male half of the problem invisible and make it specifically targeting women, because that's what we care about. And the other thing that bothers the hell out of me is, how did this become about violence against women and not violence against children? Like, the one group, okay, fine, men, who cares, right? They're adults, right?
Yeah.
But how did women get more important than children? How did women, like, in the scheme of things, how did they get higher priority than children? Like, when did that happen? Who decides that, oh, well, it's okay to have violence against children? That's not a greater priority than violence against women. I'm sorry. I think it would be perfectly acceptable to ignore violence against women until all violence against children is gone.
Yeah, I don't think it's acceptable to ignore any violence against anybody. But
yeah, that's acceptable too. But if you had to make a choice,
yeah,
why would you focus on violence against an adult group of people and ignore or make lesser violence against children? I mean, you never hear about violence against children to the same degree you hear about violence against women.
Yeah.
Never. All right.
Oh, well, but now it's called violence against women and girls.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going to sneeze. I'm sorry. Okay, maybe not. Maybe
all
not.
Right.
Maybe I bought myself 10 seconds.
How can you give us some of your braveness?
What?
How can you give us some of your braveness?
You haven't experienced anything they're talking about, woman. Nothing.
And these women aren't brave. They're protected.
Yeah, like, what?
I mean, look at the comments under this video. Look at this. This is not an Anita Sarkeesian video. Okay, this is a video for the Media Evolution channel. Comments are disabled. Comments are disabled for this video. I think that's in Anita's contract, because I don't think I have ever seen an official video of an Anita Sarkeesian appearance, whether it was at XOXO or at the Sydney Opera House or anywhere, where the comments weren't disabled. And a lot of these videos that she's, the channels that she's in these videos, as an official speaker, right, at whatever conference, the comments are open on other videos, but they're closed on hers. They're closed on anything that she's part of. She's not brave. She's protected.
And for those who are saying that it's the mysterious power of empathy, she's not saying that she's empathetic to the people who are experiencing harassment. She's saying she's terrified herself now, for herself. And it's funny, because I was thinking a lot about this. What it would be like to just be concerned for yourself? That's it. I mean, because this is really the method. This is the ideology they're selling women, is that only ever be concerned for yourself. I mean, that's sort of a privilege, to be only concerned for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
To only ever care about yourself. That's
Agreed.
Okay. I mean, because I think about it, and the things that really scare me have nothing to do with what happens to me. and everything to do what happens to people who are being silenced. Because this Anita is selling silencing, and silencing always seems to precede violence. Oh, Jesus. It's like you silence a group of people and then you don't have to listen to them cry out as you engage in violence against them.
You know, like on even just like normal calamities that happen to people, cancer, whatever, right? I'm more concerned about like when I had when my boyfriend and I were first together and we got tested to, you know, see if we could stop using condoms and everything. And of course you get tested first, right? And my doctor told me that, okay, you know, we're not going to, you won't hear from us. You won't get a call unless there's something wrong. And I was working evenings at the time, so I'd be leaving at about 3:30 in the afternoon. They would make all the calls right around 4 o'clock, right before the end of business. And so I would come home at night after work to a message, the five fucking times for like stupid stuff like, oh, you just have to redo your P test, right? You need to phone the doctor as soon as possible, right? That was the message that I heard, right? And every time I went in to fix whatever it was that didn't get tested right or didn't turn out right, I would ask, okay, so which results have come in and which haven't? And so finally I'm left with like, okay, the only thing, I'm like, so everything's come in but HIV. And they're like, yes, everything's come back except HIV. And then 2 days fucking later, I got the message on the machine after I leave for work. I get home from work and it's like, well, fuck. Now my kids get to grow up without a mother. Right? Yeah, no, it was just some other thing that like was just, oh, you know, we just, this came back and it was inconclusive, you know, so let's just run it again, right? You know, and I'm like, the first thing that went through my head when I thought, oh my God, the only thing left is HIV, I have HIV, right? Because they're only going to call me if there's a problem. The first thing that ran through my head was my kids are going to grow up without a mother. Not I'm going to die, but my kids are going to grow up without a mother.
In my case, the stuff that has really scared and depressed me is how easily we dismiss issues that I don't know why this bugs the fuck out of me. It like I watch a movie like Gone Girl and it just haunts me that the character played by what was his name? Richard Gere? No, fuck. What was the guy's name?
Dude, Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck. The character played by Ben Affleck is basically in a suspended, like he's not going to be able to get out of the situation he's in. And what haunts me is that I know that there are other men in that situation. So he's basically just putting face to these other men in that situation. And it's like, that was just, it took me a while to recover from that. And I'm not sure why it is, but it's just the thought of how men are suffering and being ignored. Just, you know, I'm like the biologist that's advocating for the worms, you know, like the least liked animal, the ones that they do not put on the Greenpeace posters or whatever else.
You're here to save itchy algae.
Yeah, so I'm here to save itchy algae, and I really fucking care about it, for fuck's sake. That's what I feel like. I mean, It's more than just that men are like a keystone species. It's that, Jesus, they are people too, for fuck's sake. Just because they're the least neotenous people on the planet doesn't mean we turn off our compassion for them. Just because, and that's what keeps me up at night. That's what depresses me, and that's what makes things sometimes hard to. And I think back to just being like Anita Sarkeesian, like the women in this audience, and only ever caring about what happens to me. I mean, how freeing is that, huh? I mean, it's also, I guess, its own sort of prison. Lived her life without fear. And then after this lecture, she gets to live with a whole bunch of fear put on her shoulders.
Yep.
And in a sane world, we would say, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that unless we're absolutely sure that's something that needs to be done. Maybe we should hold off on saying women are targets because they're women until we're absolutely sure that that is indeed the case.
What I find hilarious is that, you know, one of the tenets of rape culture, one of the defining features of rape culture is that the sexual terrorization of women is normalized. Well, who spends all of their time scaring women sexually? You know, telling women that they're gonna, you know, that men rape, and, you know, we don't do enough to teach men not to rape, and that they're at risk of rape, and that, you know, when you get raped, nobody's gonna believe you, and you're gonna go to the police, and they're gonna like re-victimize you, and the guy's never gonna spend a day in jail anyway because the entire society is gonna be high-fiving him, right? So who's terrorizing women? Is it patriarchy, or is it people who push this rape culture shit?
Okay, people are actually concerned in the chat. I don't think you explained to them that there wasn't HIV positive.
No, I wasn't HIV positive. It was that stupid fucking like every time they called, it was for some nitpicky stupid fucking thing. Right? Oh, your urine test just it didn't come out, right? It didn't turn out. So, dog,
you have a bladder infection. It was that kind of thing. So don't worry about it, chat. Karen's not going to die on us.
No. But it was like, but because every time they called, they had to leave a message, and they couldn't tell you what it was. They're not allowed, right? So they just say, you know, after telling me, we'll only call you if there's a problem, and the only test left to come back is HIV, right? They called me again and said, you, for the 5th fucking time in the entire freaking thing, they called and said, and left a message saying, phone the doctor's office first thing in the morning, please. Right? And I was like, yeah, great. That's wonderful. That's excellent. That's totally great.
But the you know, it didn't turn out to be that.
Yeah, no, it wasn't, which is why I was so fucking pissed off at them. Why would they fucking do that? Oh, we'll only phone you if there's a problem. Oh, and the only test that we don't have back yet is HIV. Oh, yeah, no, let's phone and leave a fucking message. Rather than hang up and call back the next call when I can pick up the phone and say, is it anything to worry about?
Doctors are funny that way.
Oh, fuck. Like, what the fuck are they thinking? So there I am, 5 fucking sleepless nights over the course of 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Oh, my God.
But we all know it's a happy ending. Don't worry.
Yeah, only
Karen is as healthy as something that is very healthy.
I'm as healthy as something that's going to blow her nose right now.
Okay, thank you for that, Karen. All right, let's do we want to go further and see what other nuggets?
I think we should have a look at what else there is, because I want to hear what these women have to say to this woman.
Mm-hmm. Just stop. Okay, all right, just stop for a sec. What are you cheering? I am now terrified in my life. My quality of life has gone down significantly since watching this lecture or listening to you talk. The hell are you cheering? Okay, keep going.
Yeah, I don't know what they're clapping for either.
You're so brave for being afraid. Is this how women? Is this how it works with women? Like,
I think it might be. You're admirable for, you know, getting up in front of an audience and crying about how terrified you are, even though you have no real reason to be.
Yeah, like is this how you woman correctly? It's like it's sort of reversed. Like men, if you're afraid, you're a whiny piss baby. Yeah. In any circumstance, you know, get mauled by a bear, you're a whiny piss baby.
Yeah, you didn't jump in front of your girlfriend. You know, you actually panicked and ran during the Dark Knight shooting. You're a disgusting loser who, you know, should never be able to touch a breast again. Yeah,
you know, it's like everything. But a woman gets up and says how scared she is over nothing because where's the evidence?
Yeah, for all she knows, like, it's like, so she watched a scary movie about poltergeists and she's like, And now I'm terrified that my coffee pot is going to fly across the room. Right?
We can't do that. We can't hold her to the same standard. I'm sorry, lady. If you're afraid of an email, you can delete. A tweet, you can ignore. A comment, you can ban the commentator. You can ban. If you are afraid of these things, you are a piss-stained coward.
Yeah, you're kind of a whiny piss baby.
You are a whiny piss baby. I know you have a pussy, but it doesn't give you license to be a pussy.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Okay.
So I think that's an appropriate response. It's really, really important to keep going and to tell everybody, especially women, that it is possible to keep putting us
Sorry about the noise. That's my son leaving for work.
Okay.
out there. I mean, I admire Kate and Anita for carrying on doing what you're doing. I actually find that spite is a really, really good interim measure, like emotion.
No, spite should be like, you should indifference or spite. What is that around her neck? I have seen that around her neck during multiple appearances, and I'm not sure what it is. Is it a piece of jewelry, or is it actually like a...
Maybe she's Mombi and this is her head that she uses in public.
No, I'm thinking maybe it's like a bondage thing.
Oh, well, okay, fair enough. That's interesting. I'm not really... I don't know where to go with that, but she said you have to keep going on.
Yeah, you have to keep going on, and spite helps, and spite does help. Spite really does help.
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you. If you hate what I do, fuck you. But yeah, spite helps. But isn't saying that you have to keep going on and attend to your own emotional landscape by using spite as a pruning tool, doesn't that blame the victim somehow?
Well, of course it does, but that's because it's almost like self-defense, right?
Yeah.
And self-defense, of course, is victim blaming. So
I'm surprised that I'm surprised that she went there.
Yeah, no, that's like I'm surprised that I find myself agreeing with her on.
Yeah, I do agree with her. She's like, yeah.
Yeah, no, just like give people the finger and
move on. But I think she's saying it's an interim thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, why can't that be the ultimate solution? That way, people keep their freedom of speech, and you keep your emotional sanity.
Yeah, and you just keep being able to do what you do, and
just get fart in their general direction. Fuck you. Your father smelled elderberries. Oops.
And your father smelled of elderberries. So
let's keep going.
Okay.
Triage. Sometimes when I'm thinking, I just can't cope with this anymore, I find that just thinking that if I move out of these spaces, then they win. It's because the choice to leave and the choice to not engage is a choice to let the people who don't want women there win.
Well, that's a stupid thing to think, right? Because it's not a choice to let the people who don't want women there win, because there are very few people who don't want women there. They just don't want women like Anita Sarkeesian. They don't want women like Lori Penny.
Well, they don't want women who won't respect their right to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that if you walked into a room of trolls and then you managed to shut them up, they would respect you.
Well, again, here.
If you manage to shut them up on their term, like if you manage to shut them up by just having a great zinger or rolling with the punches, you'll get respect. If you try to shut them up by getting a bunch of government thugs to just to pull out or to get rid of our freedom on the internet, nobody's gonna fucking respect you.
Okay, well here too. See here, all underneath here, this is where all the trolls would go, and they would like make their trolly comments, and then other people would respond. Other people who aren't Lori Penny or Anita Sarkeesian would respond to those comments, and then the trolls would troll the responders, and then all the trolls would have a jolly good time trolling all the other commenters, and nobody would be sending emails to Lori Penny or Anita Sarkeesian over here. Nobody would have to do that. Nobody would feel the urge to do that, because they would be doing all of their trolling down here where nobody has to look. And you know why I know nobody has to look? Because I don't look at mine, 3-4 days after I upload a video. I might go back if there's like some notification of a comment that, pops up in my email, like one of, oh, Karen has 2 boyfriends, right? And I might go and I might respond to that if it's interesting. But if it's not, I just ignore it because, I don't have to look at it. Because, I don't have to monitor the comments. I don't have to moderate. I say what's below the line is not my responsibility. And so, therefore, because I am taking no responsibility for the comments that appear below the line, I cannot be held morally responsible for the things that people say. If I set the comments to moderate, which is what Anita used to do, right? She used to scrutinize every comment and then hit publish or delete, right? Then she's taking responsibility for everything that's said on her channel in the comment section, right?
Yep.
So if somebody actually comes out and says, my neighbor strangles squirrels, and then she hits publish on that, then she's culpable in that libel, right? But if she just lets everything through, it's just a free-for-all. Just let them all duke it out in the comments. Let everybody just fucking hash it out between each other in the comments. Who the fuck cares, right? Then she can be above all of that, right? And still give people their say. And then they're not searching out to find her email address, and they're not making egg accounts so they can get past her blocking on Twitter and tweet directly at her. They're not doing any of that, right? Because they actually respond to her ideas and her bullshit in the comment sections under her videos.
Okay, here's the thing. This individual has proposed a solution that's very intelligent. You simply, when people do shit to you, when they say stupid shit, you deal with it. I mean, even if you say stupid shit back, that's a way of dealing with it. Or you ignore it. Or you move on. Or you laugh. You have a sense of humor about yourself. You can do all of these things and not insist on taking away other people's right to freedom. So, is this the woman who you don't really know the name of, or?
No, this is actually Lori Penny.
Okay.
And that's why I was so surprised that she actually said something that I agreed with.
Okay, well, let's, but she says that this is just an interim solution, right?
Yeah, well, but I also disagree with, like, all of her opinions. But I do agree with her on this. And, but I also disagree with her that it's like, then you let the people who hate women win. Yeah, no, these people don't necessarily hate women.
They just want to rise out of you.
Maybe they just hate you, Lori Penny.
Yeah, like, I mean, if they hated women, they would also hate women who agreed with them, and often they don't.
Yeah.
And if it's a troll is just an antagonist. They will do whatever it takes to antagonize you, period. Move on. Like, just don't give them the pleasure.
Yeah.
But she, again, this is her interim solution. Let's find out if she has a final solution.
Okay.
Reason that we got to stay, but that just saying that I think sounds a lot easier than it is on a day-to-day basis, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for.
Oh, jeez.
I totally agree with all of that. And I would say on a really practical level, having support in your everyday life that's not online is really important in dealing with any level of harassment, whether it's a cyber mob or a couple of hateful comments, which I think are just as horrific.
What?
A couple of hateful comments are just as horrific as a cyber mob. And you suck is actually cyber violence, which is just as horrific as real violence.
How cheaply you sell your agency, Anita. Well, maybe it isn't cheap.
Oh.
Wait. I rescind that statement. I guess she has been amply rewarded.
It's a lot of money.
How cheaply you sell other women's agency. Anita.
Yeah, well, it's not like the other women are getting anything out of it.
Exactly.
Except fear.
Fear, like this woman who spoke up. Now she's had her life ruined because of the bullshit that you're peddling.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Anita. And what's the difference if Anita is applying the fear to women or so-called mean tweets or cyber bombs are doing it? What's the fucking difference?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go.
And having people who understand and can be there for you, or creating a community of people that can support you, I think has been absolutely crucial for me in being able to maintain doing the work I'm doing.
So
Which is,
she needs a whole community of people.
well, I mean, a community of people is nice when you're suffering from being ostracized from a group. It's good to have some people to fall back on. I remember when we were at the risk of annoying people by referencing Calgary Expo again, when we were at Calgary Expo and it was just me and Hannah at the booth, it was actually pretty intimidating. Like, it was scary as fuck.
Yeah.
And we were being surrounded by, well, we had all of the expo staff there, and then we had security there. And I remember the moment that you, Karen,
Mm-hmm.
and about 5 other people, like you, Anna, Shiva, I think Mike,
Brian.
or Brian, and a few. I'm pretty sure we had a few others that came with you.
Yeah.
As soon as you guys walked up, and there was, instead of just 2 people at the booth, there was like 10. Immediately,
Yeah.
it felt less terrifying. So
Oh,
she's right. A community of people is helpful when you're being hurt. And
That's true. You actually didn't realize at the time, did you, that there were 4 cops and 2 vans waiting on standby just in case we got violent when we were ejected.
I didn't actually.
Yeah, you didn't know that now even?
No, I didn't.
No,
This
there
is the
were
first
there
time
were
I've-
2 vans and 4 cops there just in case we got violent, because that's exactly what we're like. We have a history of violence, don't you know?
Does Anita ever? Has she ever experienced something like that?
I doubt it. She's
You know,
always had security. She's always had security on her side.
the feeling like the whole, like you're. It's a feeling like the whole system is pressing down on you.
Yeah, no, she's had nothing but help from the system. Right? Like she's never had security tell her you have to leave because the people here don't want you here.
Okay, let's keep going.
And do you want to add?
Yeah, just social change is never easily won, right? Our mothers or the people who are in the generation before me, they dealt with incredible obstacles. I mean, even just in their jobs on a day-to-day basis. I mean, at least we're able to have this conversation on a societal basis. I mean, in previous generations, it wasn't really talked about, and anyone who talked about it.
Wait. In previous generations, cyber violence wasn't talked about. I can explain that to you. I can explain to you why that is, Kate Miltner. And the reason will probably astound you. Because there was no fucking internet.
Yeah.
I mean, the internet's been here since, well, it's been here longer than just like since the 90s. But the amount of this
Nobody was
having,
really on it.
sorry?
Nobody was really on it. Like
Nobody was really on it.
regular people weren't really on it until AOL.
Yeah. And it's like, that's the 90s. So if you were born in the 90s, I assume she's in her 20s or something?
Maybe 30.
Maybe 30. Well, if your mother she probably wasn't online when she was your age. Most likely.
Yeah, almost certainly. And on top of that, does she really think that violence against women wasn't a topic? Like, you know, the harassment of women, violence against women, it wasn't a societal discussion in, I don't know, the 1970s and 80s, or, you know.
Or even the 50s. I mean, if you actually ask people, older men from the 50s, and you show them Mad Men and you say, look at these guys and how they act towards women. They will say, these older men who lived through that time period would say, if a man talked to a woman like that in public, he would have his ass handed to him.
Yeah, no, my grandfather punched a guy in the face for using vulgarity around a woman.
In the 50s, that would the stuff that the men did on Mad Men, they would be out on their ear.
Yeah,
You
no,
would likely
didn't
get
get away.
fired for it.
Yeah, no, it was
Less latitude.
yeah, much less. You couldn't use vulgar language around a woman without risking getting your ass kicked.
In fact, I've read I went because I occasionally listen to broadcasts from years and years ago, and there was a broadcast regarding conscientious objectors from America who came to Canada, and they were talking about how they would walk around with their shirts off, and there was like a because there was a situation where they were also boarding with women. This was considered incredibly
Oh, it was
offensive.
not okay.
It was not okay. If you were a man, you had to be properly dressed, and when you in the presence of women, and you had to watch your tongue. And
Yep.
if you didn't,
Yep.
you got your ass handed to you. And that was the morals of the time. That was the morals of the time. You were polite and well dressed in front of the women. You go back 100 years, man did not actually go up to a woman and talk to her.
Yeah,
Never.
No, you had to have permission.
You had to have permission.
He had to write a letter and ask her family if it would be, that if she would like this and it is okay with you, I would like to call on her.
Yeah.
It's okay, and is she amenable to this idea, right? And then the daughter would talk to the parents, and she would say, yes, I'd like to take that gentleman caller, or no, I would not. And if the answer was no, I would not, he was not allowed to speak to her.
Yeah. I mean, 150 years ago, a man could not walk up to a woman in the street and talk to her. That was unacceptable behavior. It's like this entire fiction is based on progressively turning every woman in history into a victim, including the women today.
Yeah.
And that's sick. Believe me, our female ancestors were very much capable of making sure the men of their era respected them.
Yeah.
And to turn them into damsels in distress is disrespect.
Oh, it's like there's absolutely no way. Like my grandmother, one of my grandfather's brothers was disowned from the family because he spoke to my grandmother. Her brother-in-law spoke to her over the phone in a way that upset her. I mean, he was a giant cunt to begin with, but this was the last thing. He spoke with disrespect to my grandmother in such a way that it upset her enough that she dropped the phone. And this man was like, nobody in the family spoke to him again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like this issue is the disrespect in this situation is coming from these women failing to recognize the agency of their female ancestors. This is where the disrespect is coming from. Well, and not just the agency of their female ancestors, but essentially the benevolence, of their male ancestors. Like I've said this over and over and over again to people, to feminists who believe in this whole patriarchy garbage, right? And how violence against women was normalized, and it was just a normalized masculinity, and it was just, part of normal male behavior within the culture and stuff. And I ask them, like, do you believe for 1 second that your grandfather treated your grandmother that way, that he was a rapist and a slave owner, right? And not only did he behave in that way, oh, okay, he didn't, oh, okay, but he willingly participated and propped up a system that allowed other men to behave that way toward their women. Right? Do you believe that your grandfather would knowingly and willingly prop up a system that allowed other men to behave that way to other women? Do you believe that? Because that's kind of what you have to believe to have any kind of actual belief that domestic violence against women was at some point, any point in history, considered just fine. Oh, high five, dude. You beat your wife last night. Okay, let's continue though.
Fuck.
I mean, there is change happening. We are able to stand up here and have this conversation, and there's this amazing audience who's interested in engaging in this. So I think we just kind of, as these other two ladies said, keep fighting, because
there has never been a time or place where women weren't, if they did not advance the notion that they were victims of something, that people didn't listen to them. That is the essence of being a damsel in distress.
Yeah, like, God damn it.
Always got a platform for being a damsel. You always, any woman who could say, I am a victim, always gets a platform and has always gotten a platform. Except maybe in, I don't know, classical Greeks. Baby.
Well, I mean, you
stow that shit, bitch. But most cultures throughout history, if you're willing to play the victim as a woman, you get all kinds of concessions.
You even look at the Afghani, Saudi women, all in burqas, right? All holding out 4 fingers, right? They're protesting. They want the Saudi government to essentially force all men who have enough money to do it to take 4 wives.
Yeah. Okay, we do need to get, like, we have a hard limit this today.
Okay.
we can't, if we give up, then yeah, we're never getting anywhere.
Thank you. And I wanted to squeeze in one more question, and we have in the end.
Hi, my name is Britt Stakston.
Okay, just stop for a second, because first of all, DMC, and also you're never going to get anywhere anyway, because you're changing nothing.
No,
you're essentially doing what women have done forever, which is play the victim.
Yeah.
And you're saying by playing the victim even harder, like something is going to change. No. What would really change is if the people started to laugh at you and started to say, hey, you're an adult.
Yeah.
Someone sent you a mean tweet, ignore it. Or you're a crying piss baby. Okay.
Yeah, no, and honestly, I think that Anita gets so much, all of these, because there are women, there are plenty of women journalists, like Christy Blatchford, right? When she first started writing about the Steph Guthrie case, she essentially was sympathetic to Steph Guthrie because she thought it was a real case. She thought it was a real case with like a real premise to it, a real basis to it. And she was like, well, I've been there as a woman, I've received all kinds of nasty stuff in my email, and I've received all kinds of nasty comments and stuff like that, right? And so, I can see her point. But the thing is that there are women like Christy Blatchford who have, through their entire careers, received hate mail, received angry, abusive comments, received all of this stuff, right? And essentially looked at it the way men do, which is, I'm a controversial figure. If I'm not getting hate mail, I'm not doing my job right. And that's how she handled it. And she probably doesn't get the kind of negative feedback that Anita Sarkeesian gets. Anita Sarkeesian gets this huge amount of negative feedback because she makes such a big deal out of it. If she just fucking ignored it, if she didn't make any freaking, if she was just like, yeah, no, I'm a controversial figure. If I'm not getting rape threats, I'm not doing my job right. People would stop doing it.
Well, the other thing is, when you hit something just right, half of the people will be motivated to hate it. Yeah. And half of the people will be motivated. You don't want blah. You want people to hate it, and you want people to love it. Mm-hmm. Because and you're making somebody feel something.
Yep.
So if you have like half of the comments are like, you should fucking die, bitch. Yep. You did something stupid. It's like that's the sweet spot, because even the people who hate it are going to share it. Then it's like that's the wave. That's the crest of the wave. Half the people hate it, half the people love it. That's that. Even at that point, the negative feedback is positive feedback.
Yeah,
because you've hit something.
But then if you're Anita Sarkeesian, you take all that negative feedback and you turn that into an entire career, right? I mean, her career is no longer she's no longer a pop culture critic. Her career is professional victim.
Yep. And and they change nothing. Professional victim changes nothing about the world. You are using the currency, because the thing is that somebody has to be able to save you.
Yeah.
Anita, and that will always be men. So necessarily men will always have to be more powerful and stronger than you in order to be able to play your savior as a damsel. And not only does that whole narrative appeal to men very much,
Yeah.
it codifies your weakness relative to them.
Yeah.
So congratulations, you are what you supposedly fight. Let's
So much, and thank you, Anna, as well. We had in Sweden an incident called the Instagram riots, which was actually a site where they pointed out mostly young women, but also young guys from a school in Gothenburg. And I was sent down there to talk to students and teachers about what happened and giving them support.
I'm just going to say, because we have so short time.
And what happened there is that all those young women that you met there that had given up. They were not even the ones on the site, but they had given up because they said, that's how it is. The net is full of crap. We don't use it. They use it for one-to-one communication, but not for what Laurie was speaking about, those really important aspects of the net. How shall we address that as well when you give up?
Thank you.
So
can I just point something out? If Instagram doesn't turn a profit by having enough users, then it goes away.
Yeah.
So it sort of solves itself, I think.
Well, on top of that, how do you solve the problem of giving up? Well, other people won't give up. And those are the people who are going to have their voices heard.
Yeah. And what's wrong with that? Like,
the people who do give up won't. And there you go. And that's that. And those people who do give up should be told, okay, well, but there's a price to pay for that.
Yeah. You don't get your voice heard. You either struggle through it and you surmount the obstacles, or you just don't get it. And the world does not owe you that. I mean,
not at all.
The world doesn't owe, and this is the funny thing, is that they want to close off other people's participation because they didn't hack it. It's like ending a race because you didn't finish first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That I didn't get time to talk about is that not every woman who is targeted has the ability to share what's happening to them, right? That it is
certainly not when they're being targeted by actual mainstream publications.
Yeah, no, not at all.
It's like, yeah, that's definitely, when you're on Instagram, I don't ever use Instagram. I've never, so I don't know. But let's talk about Twitter. All right, let's use Twitter as an example.
Yeah.
Anita, and you in particular have a bigger platform than most people on Twitter.
Yeah.
So you are not being silenced.
Yeah.
And all of the other women in this area, you have absolutely the same ability to tweet as anybody who's tweeting to you. So you are also not being silenced. When you start talking about being silenced, you're start talking about huge disparities in platform. Like people who have access to media versus people who only have access to tweets.
Yeah.
that you can make the argument is silencing. But yeah.
Or people who are so popular on Twitter that they manage to, if they report an account for criticizing them, then okay, Twitter will suspend that account. And if it's a small account, it might just go down and stay down.
And she thinks that she's speaking for anyone but herself. This is the other thing that really annoys me when women do this we thing. No, you're speaking for yourself.
Yeah.
Because we're all different people. For me, silencing would be taking away the platform that expects you to toughen up. Because when you toughen up, what you have to say changes.
Mm.
It evolves. When you're challenged, what you have to say evolves. And I want that.
Yeah.
You don't. So you don't speak for me. And you don't speak for other women like me who would prefer to have the challenge and have the obstacles and have the risks because we know that that's how we grow as people and understand ourselves as people.
Well, and nothing worth doing was easy.
No.
Well, actually, there are some things worth doing that are easy, but
Eating a chocolate bar.
yeah, no, that's definitely worth doing. I might
And
do.
also easy.
Yeah.
Risky to come out and talk about it publicly, and that it's okay for women to not publicly talk about it when they feel unsafe, professional lives, that sort of thing.
Okay, all right. Here, Anita, being the victim, it's not unsafe for women to come out and talk publicly.
Mm.
Relative to what? You really think that men get to come out and talk publicly about how they feel unsafe?
Yeah.
Like, seriously? Really?
Yeah.
No, they don't. I mean, a man can have half his arm blown off, and if he talks about how it's painful to be in this position, he still gets told to suck it up.
He's more likely to talk about how he's worried that he won't be able to support his family, or he won't be attractive to a woman.
Yeah, these are like, if you think that men get more support when they are afraid, you're wrong. And the other thing is that you are playing the role of woman, what we traditionally see as female, which is victim. All right, well, you know what? I don't think it's that traditional, but it's become very prevalent stereotype about women. So when you play the role of helpless and acted upon, of course you get support because you're part of the status quo.
Oh God, she's so status quo.
Yes, like she's like, how did these people become radicals? How did the word ever apply to these individual women who are standing up there and describing how they're wearing a corset is radical dress? I'm putting on my victim corset and it's a radical thing. No, what's radical is that you are completely reducing women down to victims. Other eras, other time periods, there was some concession that women could actually maybe be responsible for other people, maybe take responsibility for themselves. But the radicalism that you have presented is women are completely incapable.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, it's the radical part of it, I think, comes from the radical idea that this is radical.
Yeah, just fucking radical all the way down, and none of it is.
It's like I told Steven Crowder, I think, or maybe it was Gad Sad recently. Let's try chivalry. We've never tried that before. It's a brand new idea. Let's do it. He for she.
Jesus, that's right. We never thought of the idea of men saving women.
Never, ever in the entire history of humankind have ever tried this one thing.
Oh God, this is so new and unique, so radical, so revolutionary.
Yeah, it's a novel concept. It might not catch on.
No, you're right. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
But we could give it a go just this once. Like, what the fuck?
Oh man, a radical concept would be the idea that women have to actually help men and to save men. That would be radical.
A radical concept would be women need to look after themselves. I think that's plenty radical. I mean, like, if you want to go full Macintosh radical, right? Like the absolute pinnacle of radical, and it's like, oh, women owe something. They don't just owe themselves a living and have to be tough enough to do it without depending on others. That they actually would make themselves someone to lean on, right? And see other people as people who deserve to lean on them, see other people as having a right to lean on them sometimes, right? That's like the pinnacle of radical, right? Let's baby steps here. Let's just get to the
let's just get to the point where we expect women to deal with a mean tweet.
Yeah. Can I be first to punch Andy Dick until there's bones in his stool? Can I be first to punch Anita Sarkeesian until there's bones in her stool? Oh my God, I just committed cyber violence against a woman.
But not against a man.
No. Andy Dick deserves it. Just
I
look at
guess.
him. He's all like freaking homely and goofy.
Well, a woman said it, so it must be true. Let's
there
I
you
think
go.
that we need to create a space, and I think part of the work that we do is about
We need to create a space. We need women-only carriages, and we need women-only palanquins, and we need women-only litters, and we need women-only wings of the palace. We need harems is what we need.
Yes, cyber harems.
You
I
know,
called it, I coined it. There we go. We need a cyber harem.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, a place where only women and eunuchs go.
Yep.
And the eunuchs guard the door, and they can be trusted not to harass the women, and the women just stay there, and it's all lovely. It's all sunshine and lollipops.
Because we know that women would never harass each other.
Yeah, no, they would never do that. And there's never been any instance in the entire history of harems where the women in the harem had a hard time getting along. So, yeah.
All right, nice.
making it safer for women to speak up and creating a space where the next woman who speaks about it will be taken seriously. And so I think that's about a larger cultural shift in both the structures of online and our societies to encourage young women to continue to participate and to support them through that.
Stop for a second.
You need encouragement and support for every little thing. Oh my goodness.
I don't fucking need encouragement. I'm just gonna do it.
Oh.
And the idea that you keep teaching girls that they need permission and encouragement to do it is
And a safe place.
and a safe place
And no criticism.
and no criticism, and they can't possibly
no
overcome any
criticism.
obstacles in the process. That's what pisses me off.
Yeah.
Jeez. And then they teach that women need all of this shit.
Yeah.
That they're always going to be men's bitches, I guess. They teach that, and then they simultaneously expect women to actually be able to achieve. You cap them in the knees, and then you say, keep, well, they don't, they blame men when they don't.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Do you want to add?
yeah, it's really, really on us, and I think us specifically as people who engage a lot online to support young people coming up, because it's a very, very fraught time right now. But I would say that there are a lot of young women who either have given up or who have not yet found their voice and come into their power.
All right. Well, what would we say to young men who'd given up?
Yeah. Suck it up.
Let's say that to the young women.
Suck it up. Try again.
Suck it up. Try it again. Nut up. Stop whining.
Yeah.
Just
Clean out your
do
head,
it.
guy.
And don't blame anyone if you don't. It's your
Yeah.
choice to roll over and die. So, metaphorically speaking. It's your choice.
True. It is true. And you don't even need to speak metaphorically. It's essentially, like this is what we tell men. And we tell them that even when they actually, not like these women, look at how they're dressed. Look at where they are, right? Are they really going to try to tell me, right, that they're hard done by?
Well, actually, having said where they are, it is a little bit odd. Like, is that a kitchen?
I don't know. It looks like it's a kitchen under construction or something like that.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. It's a very surreal space. But, it's like, suck it up. If you fail, it's your own fault. Those are the building blocks of people who succeed, or, with men, they either succeed or they're thrown into the ditch. So if you want women to succeed, you got to start treating them the same way.
Yeah.
Having expectations of success, having expectations that if they experience an obstacle, they look to themselves to deal with it.
Yeah, you have to do that, or you have to start treating men the same way you treat women.
But then everybody's an idiot.
And then, men will fail at the same rate that women will. And everyone will be totally
It'll just be like a pool of goo.
Yeah, no, it's like, I'm sure that the welfare state can handle that.
Oh, okay, keep going.
But I am constantly stunned by the bravery of the young people who get in touch with me and the young people I meet. For example, at schools in the UK recently, a 17-year-old girl set up a feminist society at her school, was subject to an unbelievable amount of online racist and misogynist harassment. The response of the school was that we'll be talking to our young women about how better to protect themselves.
What is the school supposed to do?
Yeah, the school can't police the internet.
The school cannot police the internet. And furthermore, feminism is shit. And you deserve it. Because you're advancing, okay, you are advancing not only a toxic belief system about men, but also a toxic belief system about women.
And, when she says, a sexist, misogynist, racist, right? Well, misogynist, we've already discovered, over the last little while that,
Criticizing feminism.
yeah, well, disagreeing, right? Disagreeing with a woman who is the right kind of woman. That's misogyny, right? And racism, okay, so I have actually had people I have actually seen situations where someone will say, Black people can be racist too, right? Racism can occur in both directions and be called a racist for it. So I really wonder, right? I really have to be skeptical, and I would have to see what kind of actual comments were directed at this young woman, right? Because if they are misogyny in the opinion of feminists, they could just be disagreeing. And if they are racist in the opinion of progressives, it could just be saying, well, a lot of Black people don't like whites, and that's racist.
Feminism, you cannot ask the question, does feminism actually benefit women?
Oh, you can't ask the
And
question.
because you cannot ask that question, feminism does not belong in a state-supported institution.
Well, because it has the equivalent of blasphemy laws, right?
Yes. And the other thing, but regardless, even if she wants to have a feminist-run club and it's not
I'm fine
supported
with
by the
that.
school, yes, fine, have that. You can't actually ask if what you're presenting is actually of benefit to women, but you sure as hell feel the moral superiority over everybody else in society. Fine. But here's the question. All of that harassment she got to deal with, I assume, in private. She received it via email, I assume, or Twitter, or some other medium in which you actually mediate.
Yeah, there wasn't a camera pointed at her face or like other people, staring at her while she was in her gym jams looking over those comments.
I would like to propose a new standard of that something has to actually measure up to be considered opposition to a point of view. And that standard is, was she escorted out of her school by security to a parking lot which apparently had police in it, just in case. Just in case.
She made trouble, yeah.
She made trouble. Now there you go. If that happens to a feminist starting a school or a group anywhere, if that happens, and I don't even know what she was doing online in terms of what she was advancing in terms of opinions online.
Yeah.
So this isn't not saying that she invited this behavior, but it is possible. It is within the realm of possibility. There's only one side being presented here.
It's possible she tweeted a whole bunch of kill all men shit, right?
Yeah, it's possible. We don't know. But if what she considers to be harassment, I want to set that standard. If you are not escorted out of the building by security summarily,
yeah, and told never to come back.
And you are escorted into a parking lot where there's awaiting cops to make sure that there's no actual anything, that you don't threaten something, then you are not marginalized by the status quo. Some people may not like what you say online, but you're not being marginalized by your school.
It's not institutional.
It's not institutional. And you can start to fucking complain when you get up to that level of marginalization.
This is what gets me every time they talk about institutional sexism, right? Institutionalized sexism, right? Milo Yiannopoulos calls freaking that stupid Kate chick in the red vest darling, and she claims it's institutionalized sexism. What? Institutionalized sexism is when a court tells you, I'm going to cut off your access to your children, right? A judge tells you this, I'm going to cut off your access to your children. Not because you're bad, you seem like a wonderful father, but the mother is so combative. And every time we bring her back to court and tell her to behave, she just amps up her combative behavior, right? And so here's what I'm going to do. Okay, here's how I'm going to solve this situation of this overly combative mother who refuses to abide by the court's rulings and the court's orders, right? And because her behavior, every time I order her to allow you to have access, she abuses the children. And this was the case in Australia. Every time I allow her to have access, order her to give you access to these children, she abuses the children. She subjects them to what I consider child abuse. And this is an untenable situation. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut off your access to your children, and I'm going to have you write them letters. And I will deliver those letters to them when they turn 18. And that's what I'm going to do. Done. That's institutional sexism. That's institutional discrimination. When a judge can say, I'm going to reward a woman who repeatedly defies my orders, who repeatedly breaks the law, and who engages in what I consider to be child abuse every time I order her to give you access to them, well, you're the one we're going to just freaking shovel off over here, write them a nice letter. I'll make sure they get it when they turn 18. Oh, wait, it was 14, when they turn 14.
Yeah.
And then maybe they'll come looking for you. Right? That was an actual, real fucking case in Australia. Now, what do mean fucking comments on the internet? How do they measure up against that?
And it doesn't. And
how does darling count as institutional
sexism?
Misogyny, institutionalized, sexism.
Well, I mean, even if you just want to go for the female route, if you question, we were treated like that. We were escorted out. And apparently today I learned that there were cops waiting for us.
Yeah.
We were escorted out because I questioned feminism. And I questioned the focus on victimhood and how that hurts women. That's what we were escorted out for. Because that is the real rub. That is the real radical statement. Now, so don't sit up there snug in the arms of the system and say that you are radicals. Advance whatever you want, but you are not radicals. You are puppets. You are manifestations of the system. You are playing your part. You're a cog.
Meet the new boss, just as sexist as the old boss.
Meet the new damsel, even more damseling.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm quite satisfied.
Exactly, right? And the school thought that this was fine.
The school didn't think it was fine. The school had no power to do anything about it.
Yeah,
God.
But that society is still going. Those young women are still out there making their project.
Good.
Sharing their stories. And I think something really is changing. I mean, I speak a lot.
Wait. Let me explain to her what's changing. Good for them. They have encountered an obstacle and they overcame it.
Yeah.
I mean, even if their belief system is diametrically opposed to me, at least, but why can't you say, hey, That's what they all should do. That's what we all should do when we encounter obstacles. We should dig deep into our petticoats and find the strength to oppose them as women or people. Like, okay, keep.
Okay.
I don't just speak about women's right to speak. When we've done the work of creating that space, you have to find things
Women's right to speak.
One of the things.
When we're done creating that space where there is no criticism whatsoever. Oh my goodness.
Are you kidding? Well, I won't be speaking in that space, and I'm a woman.
Yeah, no, I think I left a comment on a Jezebel article recently, and I don't know if it ever showed up. And I don't really care to go back and look. And I was actually in support of what they were saying in that particular article, right? Because they were criticizing another article that was actually kind of bullshit, right? And when I hit publish, it said, this comment is in the queue, right? To be moderated. And yeah. And I don't care to go back there and
find out if you were a woman who was allowed to speak.
Yeah.
But look at the smirk.
Oh, I know.
I mean, they all seem to have this.
Yeah.
It's like this sort of contemptuous, smug, shit-eating grin. And I know that I've gotten her. You know, people are like, don't. But it's like, why is it that this is such a common expression from these people?
It's almost like they just know that they're full of shit, or they know that they're
superior some way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
That's really, really important is the solidarity that's built there.
Solidarity? Seriously.
Yeah.
I want to see a woman who actually says, I think feminism, what can we ask the question, does feminism help women? I want to see a woman like that in your safe space. Believe me, there will be no solidarity.
No. No. And, you know, like I've been banned from some subreddits before I even was aware that they existed. I get this notification saying, you've been banned from like freaking R whatever. And I'm like, oh, isn't that interesting? Because, you know, I had no idea that R whatever was a thing. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Very hopeful and inspiring going on right now, but it's really, really important to support it.
Thank you.
Okay, can I just interject with some logic here? What you've essentially said is that it's important to support, and I assume what you're saying you should support is what these girls did, which was continue despite the obstacles. Well, I support that.
Yeah.
I think you should be more clear about what it is exactly you're supporting.
Oh, well, they're supporting a feminist group. They're not necessarily supporting the steadfastness of these girls.
Oh, I see.
What they're supporting, and the way they would support these girls is to remove all the obstacles. Yeah. Which never really taught anybody anything useful other than, you know,
people will disagree with you.
Well, other than how to demand that things be made easy and have other people make them easy for you.
If you can't logically, if you can't through reason defend your position, then what makes you think you have the right to silence the opposition? Only bigots and liars want to silence people, because everybody else knows that the truth undoes bigotry and lies. Okay.
All right.
Sure. Thank you. But I think you were actually first, so we do that.
Yeah, hi, my name is Andrea. Thank you a lot. I've never been so close to tears in a conference before. Thanks, Johanna, as well. I wanted to actually ask primarily Anita about the concept of revenge and how you deal with not being the better woman. Because in these kind of cases, and you said that some of the men use their real name, their real workplace, blah, blah, blah. There would be ways of you attacking them, outing them for their family, blah, blah, blah. And that would be totally legitimate in a way. I think
That would be totally legitimate.
Somebody disagrees with you. Somebody says something mean to you, and you would be totally legitimate to
destroy their lives.
Yeah.
If they've sent you a rape threat or something. So how?
What are we defining? Because the thing is that
I hope you get raped, Allison. I hope
you get raped, Karen.
And you know what? I hope you enjoy every fucking minute of it. Because I'm pretty sure it'll be like Jonathan. He'll be playing a part, and you'll be like, "Oh, don't."
Oh no, I don't think that he's very skeptical about such things. So
is he? Oh dear. Oh,
no, he's generally a very skeptical person. Like
that's such a shame because those things are fun.
So I will hope that you get raped.
Excellent.
Enjoy every second of it.
I
don't want to do something that Jonathan would find uncomfortable.
But, like, honestly, this, what they consider to be rape threats, I hope you get raped, or someone should rape you. That's what they consider to be rape threats.
Yeah, no, I've looked through the threats and they publish them in their articles, and I've looked through them, and I'm like, these are not threats. These are threatoids. These are threatoids.
Yeah, no, and here's the thing. The word threatoid, if I recall, was thought up by Stephanie Zvon, or like freaking that old bitch. What's her name from Free Thought Blogs? The really old one.
I'm not the person to ask.
Did that? Mike Root did a really awesome thing where it was like, someone left a cheddar goldfish in the elevator, and I know it means something.
All right. The cheddar goldfish woman. Let's go.
Yeah,
forward.
The cheddar goldfish woman. But essentially, that term, threatoid, was coined by some feminist at Free Thought Blogs to essentially excuse their own. Shove a dead porcupine up your ass. Go die in a fire, right? I hope you die. I hope someone fucking rapes and murders you, and all of those things that their side was throwing at the other side. And the other side was like, dude, that actually kind of is like really nasty. And they're like, it's not a threat. It's a threatoid. I hope you get raped is not a threat. And so this was people at Free Thought Blogs who coined this term, threatoid, right? That isn't a real threat, right? To justify their own use of this kind of rhetoric. And yet, this is primarily what I see when it comes to, Rebecca Watson's page Oh Hate, right? It's my page Oh Hate. And, some of it is just valid criticism, and some of it is just...
I've looked through it.
Yeah.
I would say 90% of it is at worst like snarky criticism you might find on like Ebert and Siskel. Like, or the Cinema Sense.
Jezebel would write about like freaking James Taranto.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of snarky, at most snarky, and then there's like 8% that's fatuous praise, and then 2% that's threatoids. Yeah, and this is what she has made her living on.
Yeah,
it's like it's.
Like, and I've gotten actual threats. I've received actual threats. I've received the, I just masturbated to you. Now I'm coming to do the real thing. I'm going to make you scream, blah, 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 blah. I've received that, right? And
I haven't
received in a public comment thread, I have received the comment from Bewildered Ape, when I'm done with Dr. Mason, I'm going to track you down. I'm going to find out where you live, and I'm going to do everything to you that Dr. Mason's subscribers, this Thunderfoot, right, have threatened to do to Anita Sarkeesian. And my response to both is like, well, fuck, like I haven't vacuumed in a while, and my legs could use some shaving. Like, could we reschedule for next Friday?
Okay. Here's the worst threat that I think we've ever gotten, Karen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's having a group of people, like an institution or a tell a bunch of people, a bunch of men, presumably who are armed with guns, that we're a threat. That's actually, I would say that is a real legitimate.
Oh yeah, no, I actually, because in the ad for this Rantzerker, the guy sitting to my right was Dan Moore.
Yeah.
Dan Moore, he actually, he's I think he's always done this under his real name. I mean, he's had a username, but he's never hidden his real name. He's never hidden his face or his identity. He was doxxed and tracked down, and 3, 4, 5 years ago, an anonymous tip was made to the police that he was stockpiling weapons and munitions and had intention to use them. And so he actually had to go in. They called him and said, "We need you to come and talk to us because we've received this tip, and that you've been stockpiling weapons and munitions and explosives, right? And that you're going to commit a terrorist act, and we need you to come in and talk to us." And he had to actually go in and talk to the police and deal with that, right? And he's just lucky that we don't really deal with things in Canada the way they deal with them in the States, because if somebody had phoned in an anonymous tip in the States,
he could have gone swatted.
Yeah, he would have been swatted. But we don't tend to do that in, sort of smallish towns in Canada.
Yeah, but that probably it was the American guests who did this at the expo to us, who told.
Yeah.
Like, do you take responsibility? Who told a bunch of men, most likely men, maybe there were women as well. I didn't actually see this. Have fucking guns. That the Honey Badger Brigade was some sort of threat.
Yeah, that we're dangerous. That we're dangerous.
Do you realize what that sets up? The potential that could have.
And kudos again to the cop for being such a nice guy. He was like,
well, the cop that arrived when we were having our picnic.
Yeah, the cop at the park. He was just a wonderful guy. He actually told us we seemed like a really nice bunch of people, and stay in the park as long as you want. It's a public park, right? So
yeah. So it's like
problems here.
Yeah, it's there. Of course, the cops at least in Canada. I mean, they're not gonna go in guns blazing first, but that is a real threat.
It is. To have the cops called on you with the implication that you're potentially violent.
Yeah.
There's a large crowd of potentially violent people at this park. I mean, at the park, they showed up with 2 vans and 4 cops.
Yeah.
Again, 2 vans and 4 cops, because they were anticipating maybe having to arrest multiple people.
But in that sense, you're putting people in jeopardy when you do shit like that. You're putting people in potential jeopardy, but not a situation where someone says, "I hope you get raped."
Yeah.
That's a threatoid. A real threat is telling a bunch of armed people that someone is dangerous, and not just random, that they can use violence, that they're sanctioned by society to use violence, and you telling them.
Yeah.
That is a threat. And it's a threat when they did it to Dan Moore. It's a threat when they did it to us. It's a threat when they do it to Gamergators being swatted. I mean, that's even worse in America.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine? I mean, they move wrong and their brains are splattered all over the floor.
Yeah. Can you imagine the fear when they come bursting through your front door and scream?
Well, the fear I felt when the cops rolled into the
park.
The park. Like, at that point in time, I was having trouble going outside.
Yeah.
Leaving my house because of what had happened at Calgary Expo. No, I was already battling agoraphobia, and then that happened, and it drains your sense of security out of everything. You don't know who thinks you're some sort of monster who should be put down.
Well, but the issue is too that it's the people with the power, right? Who are coming after you. It's the people with power. It's the people with authority. It's the people who are part of the institutions who are coming
They're
out.
sanctioned to do violence.
Yeah. You know, it's not just some random fucknut on the internet, or fuck nugget, as V likes to say. It's not some random fuck nugget on the internet who says, I hope you get raped, or even I'm coming to rape you, which is like fucking hilarious. You can't even spell. Like, do I think that you have the capability of finding out where I live and getting on a bus? No. Right?
Do you think that he even has the inclination, he or her, or him or her has the inclination?
No, of course they don't. And the moment that you say something back like, fuck, I haven't shaved my legs, like, and my house is a fucking embarrassment, can we reschedule? Right?
If whatever you're receiving, it's up to you whether or not you continue to engage in it. Like, it's up to you if you want to not, like, just mute the person who's tweeting at you. You can mute the person who's tweeting. You can delete an email. You can do these things. If it's up to you, the length of time that you have to engage with it,
Yeah.
it is not a problem.
Well, one of the things that was hilarious about the Zoe Quinn restraining order against Aaron Joni, right, is it was based on the fact that, okay, anytime he talked about her, even if he didn't mention her name, right, she knew about it because she was stalking him. She had a tracker. She had engaged software that would monitor his activity on the internet, the activity of his accounts, to find out if he was talking about her. So she was spying on him. That's the only reason why she knew that he was saying anything about her. And therefore, because she had this thing that monitored all of his internet activities, anything he said that referred even remotely to her was considered to be a direct communication with her, even though he didn't know she had this fucking thing monitoring him. And she got a restraining order on that basis and a gag order. Because of her own fucking stalker behavior. And yet somehow, misogyny is institutionalized.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna go kill my dog. I'm gonna mute my mic for a second.
How long was there silence?
It was there was silence for a couple minutes. Well, not a couple minutes, but like maybe 15 seconds. But I'm gonna go let my idiot fucking dog out because it never fails the moment that I get on a live stream.
Okay, all right. Well, in that case, I will have to fill the air until you get your bitch.
Yeah,
sort your bitch out, bitch.
I'm gonna mute my microphone because it's gonna be loud because the screen door is really loud because it's sticky.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't know exactly what you were. I actually had to run really quick to go to the bathroom, and I didn't want to. Of course, it's mute point now.
I was talking about Zoe Quinn's restraining a gag order against Aaron Joni.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. I mean, she's like, it's like the old woman.
I was spying on him and heard him say things about me.
It's like, okay, if you listen,
me.
If you listen, okay, if you go deal with your dog, like it's like the old woman who sees the skinny dipping boys in a pond, or in a river by her house, and she talks to the police, and she says, you know, these boys, they're skinny dipping, they're indecent exposure. Oh my God, my eyes, they're burning at the sight of them. And the police talks to the boys and says, you know, let's just go a little further down the river to do your skinny dipping. You know, I mean, this old biddy is just doesn't appreciate the sight of you. So they do, and the old woman calls up the cop again, like the next week, and says to the cop, they're still skinny dipping, and then in the river, it's horrible.
I followed them there and watched them.
No, well, actually, the joke goes, I could see them through my telescope.
Yeah.
That's exactly the same. Zoe Quinn. I can still see him through my telescope.
Yeah, that's pointed forever at his house.
Yeah.
Like, it's like fucking retarded. And she managed to, so like she's the hard done by one here. She's the one who's been failed by the fucking system.
All right. Okay, let's finish this off.
Okay, we gotta finish it off.
Do you deal with not sinking to their level?
Right. So the guy who made the game to beat me up.
Well, the way to not sink to their level is to get the actual corporations and the actual police and the actual governments and all of that to do your dirty work for you, and then you don't have to sink to their level.
The way to not to sink to their level is to put in place, like, take away everybody's freedom on the internet. That's how not to sink to their level. Actually, that's very true. They're not actually sinking to their level. They have gone way the fuck past it. They are like hurtling towards the center of the earth.
I don't think so. I think they're hovering above us all. It's like freaking Bill Burr said, the ego. Like, are you levitating above the rest of us?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what they're doing. They're not sinking to anybody's level. They're rising to a new level. They're achieving a new level.
Where their bastardly becomes moral.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been confronted. Part of the way that I decided to deal with this is to not focus on any individual, because this is not about individuals.
Well, that's good, because most of the individuals who contacted you didn't actually say anything that would be actionable. That's very convenient for you. But
here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Is that if she doesn't concentrate on any one individual, then she doesn't have to prove harassment as it's defined under the law, which is repeated unwanted contact, right? So 50,000 angry people each send her one message. That's not harassment under the law, because they only sent her one message each, right? One unwanted message. No, it has to be repeated. It has to be sustained. It has to be, the person has to reasonably be aware that they're engaging in something that is going to cause this person to reasonably fear for their safety, right?
Okay, can I add another thing too? Going after individuals isn't her end goal.
No.
Apparently, she wants to go after everyone's ability to disagree on the internet, disagree with her on the internet. When that's not really powerful. I mean, just going after an individual, that's not where the power is. You want to go after and force internet service providers to, you want to force them to monitor all communications, to create turn the internet into a safe space where no one can dissent, sort of like North Korea. Okay.
Well, Arthur Chu actually suggested striking down one portion of the law that allows Facebook and other social media sites and YouTube and all of that to be able to function. And that is that the users themselves are the ones who are liable for what they upload, right? For what they post. And Facebook cannot be held liable for it unless and until it's drawn to their attention that there's something illegal on their site, right? And once it's drawn to their attention that somebody has committed a libelous act or whatever, right? Then they will have to remove it. But their attention has to be drawn to it in order for them to be held liable for it. Other than that, it is, it is essentially the opinions stated here are not necessarily the opinions of this radio station or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what the deal is. That's how you can have people that give other people a platform and have any kind of ability for those platforms to function, to stay in existence. If you held YouTube liable for every piece of libel that was posted on YouTube by a user, right? YouTube would be gone. It would be done. It would be completely done. And like, I just, the idea of striking down that part of the legislation, that's just terrifying to me.
Well, it is, because this is the end game of this is, of course, state control.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what Anita's after. So this is no like moral high ground here. She's got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, and she fried the UN just this week.
Yeah, she's got bigger fish to fry, friends. It's everybody's freedom she's after.
You
She
suck
wants
is
to dox
cyber violence.
everyone.
You suck is cyber violence, and it needs to be taken as seriously as actual violence, and it needs to be prosecuted. There you go. Boom.
Online harassment as a larger institution that's as something that is tolerated, if not accepted online. And so I really wanted to keep the focus on a larger systemic structures.
Okay. You know why harassment is tolerated and accepted online? Because you can walk away from your computer. It's entirely up to you whether or not to engage it. You can mute a tweeter, you can delete an email, you can ban a commentator from your YouTube channel. It is entirely up to you to engage with it.
Yeah.
Or not. Or you can leave your computer.
Or you can just ignore it. Like you don't even have to leave your fucking computer. You just have to just ignore that stuff.
You have to practice some emotional restraint.
Oh my God, you need to do what my mother used to tell me to do, and what she used to tell me to do was when somebody is insulting you, when somebody's saying mean things to you, you consider the source. So if they're an asshole, they're just going to be an asshole, right? And it's nothing personal. They're an asshole to everyone. And if they're she essentially said, just picture a kid with Down syndrome, right? Severe Down syndrome, yelling and screaming and pointing at you and yelling that you're retarded. Just imagine that.
But it's not acceptable because we have to see women's emotional landscape as a call to action.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, suck it up, bitch, just you decide to engage with it. As soon as it's off if it's on your screen and you can turn it off, or you can delete it, or you can ban it, or you can mute it, it's your decision to continue to engage with it.
Honestly, when I think of what a whiny kid I was, like when I was really little, right? When I think of what a whiny kid I was, when I think back to that, and then I think back to the lessons that my parents taught me, and the one with my mom was, I know it hurts, the doctor knows it hurts, we all know it hurts, shut the fuck up, right? Well, she didn't say shut the fuck up, she said suffer in silence because you don't want to distract the doctor so much that he stitches your arse to your ear hole, okay? When he's fixing you up. And my dad, his motto was always, if there's no blood, it doesn't hurt. And then if you were like, but there is blood, I'm bleeding all over, he'd be like, don't be a pussy. Okay. And these were the parents that I grew up with. And they were very, very good about taking care of me, right? And part of how they took care of me was, you know what, this isn't a big deal, right?
Well,
yeah, you stepped on broken glass and you're bleeding and you got to go get stitches. It's really not that big a deal. It's nothing to be terrified of, right? And it's probably going to hurt, but, pain is temporary, so just relax. It's not that big a deal. They weren't like, oh my God, my baby's going to die. Oh, look at all the blood.
Oh, that makes it worse, though. I mean, the kids are pretty impressionable.
Towel and bring her to the emergency room.
Oh God.
Yeah, no,
that's abusive.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, no.
That's when a kid is already dealing with pain,
and they were very clear. I know you're upset. I know the reason you're upset is because you're seeing blood. There's a lot of blood, right? And you're worried that you're gonna die.
Well, you're not.
Probably not going to die. Almost certain you're not going to die. You cut your big toe on a piece of broken glass. We got to take you in and get you stitches. That's going to hurt. Hurts right now. We all know it hurts. Everybody understands it hurts. Just calm down, settle down. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you have to be told that it's not that big a deal. And the thing is, what really gets me about this is they constantly accentuate this idea that women cannot handle things. And then they turn around and complain that women aren't seen as natural leaders. Well, it's because of this, Anita. This is what you're doing to women. You're perpetuating a stereotype of women being unable to deal with adversity. To look inside themselves to deal with adversity. And that's what you need in a leader. is the person who's able to look inside themselves to deal with adversity and find a pathway out of it. You can either have women whine, or you can have women respected or seen as someone you can lean on. One or the other. You can't expect both.
Yeah. No, you really, really can't. You can't put women on this pedestal where it's like any harsh word is like a mortal wound and expect to see them leading armies.
No, or expect them to even, not even leading armies, but actualizing their full potential. Mm-hmm. Because every time, anyone who does anything great has to suffer through the obstacles.
Yeah.
And they have to learn to look to themselves to overcome those obstacles, not look to other people to remove them. And this is what you're doing, Anita. You're presenting to women that the appropriate way to do woman is to appeal to someone else to remove the obstacles for you, instead of saying, hey, nobody's going to get me over this obstacle but me, so I better do that.
Yeah, and
they're done.
Ironically, she is nothing like the video game character that she would approve of.
Yeah.
Nothing like it.
Interesting.
There is strength in femininity. There absolutely is strength in femininity. There is strength in nurturance. There is strength in searching for what she considers to be feminine qualities according to her master's thesis, right? That these qualities of peacekeeping and consensus and all of these things, like women do have a lot of strengths in that department where they're actually quite able to do those things, right? And those things are valuable. Consensus is valuable. It's like the octagon means stop, and the upside down triangle means yield, and we have a consensus about that, right? Consensus is important, but she does not seem to feel that women should express strength while they need to be safe to exercise their strengths. They need to be kept safe. They need to be kept in a separate place. They need to be on their own train cars and in their own like little clubs, and they need to be in their own online spaces, and then they can talk about all of that stuff. And somehow, if they're all segregated in this way into this safe space, right, what they say and do there should impact all of society. Well, I'm sorry. No, if you want to impact all of society, you have to get out there
and rely on yourself
in society, right? And that means that that's not going to be safe, particularly if you want to change things.
All right.
As opposed to saying like this one person did this bad thing, or just outing, a couple of people. I don't think that that's how we're going.
Oh my God, stop her. Oh, she's so like she's such a, she's such a saint.
I know.
She's not going to actually go after the individuals harassing. She's going to go after the entire fucking internet and shut it down.
Yeah, but she's not, because no individuals are actually harassing her. That's the thing. Right? Because she's like, oh, a constant barrage of comments, you suck. Well, I'm pretty sure that's not the same guy typing it 50,000 times.
Well, yeah, but it's like this is what she wants. She wants to turn the internet into a platform where nobody has the right to actually talk back to the people on the platform. That's what they want. They want.
I'm almost positive that if the internet was a platform for people who were not allowed to be criticized and that person wasn't her, she'd be really against it.
Well, if that person espoused things that she doesn't agree with, but it was really funny is I doubt that this is the end game. Like this has been tried so many times before. Tried to turn the internet into something monitored, and well, it's already monitored, but monitored in such a way that we no longer can speak freely. Yeah. This is the end game of the people in power who want to maintain that kind of one way sense of authority, that they get to speak and we listen. They speak, we listen. They speak, we listen. Yeah. And here we have another person who says, I speak, you listen.
Yeah.
You don't think this isn't the same shit, new fucking bucket?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that that's wrong to do. I just think that we need to, I'd like to keep things focused on the larger systems of what's happening in order to make real change across the board.
Okay, again, her fucking cyber violence initiative is going to take away some of the protections the carriers have now. That they can't be sued for behavior of the people who are using or transmitting their information through their system. So, congratulations, folks. It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. And certain speech, like "you suck," if it's said to the wrong person, will be considered to be criminally actionable. And yeah, because it's harassment. Because we're going to redefine harassment, and it's not going to be one person with a persistent fucking campaign to, like, you know, really make somebody's life miserable and follow them around and do stuff, right? And I've suffered that online from a feminist woman. Okay, but I'm going to calm down now. And that's before I started doing anti-feminism even, but she wants the idea that there are 50,000 people in the world who disagree with her enough to take the trouble to type "you suck" on Twitter, right? That they are engaging in group harassment, right? And therefore they are all culpable criminally.
Yeah, she doesn't want to silence. Like, if this was about her being harassed by individuals, she would want a targeted response. It isn't about that. She doesn't want to have to deal with anybody talking back to her. And she's become a mouthpiece for larger forces that don't want to deal with anyone talking back to them. So yeah, like I said, it was fun while it lasted, folks. Let's go back to the system. Let's essentially make the web into another TV, and while we're at it, we'll only be broadcasting Anita approved content.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll come back on that quickly.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap up. So I actually slightly disagree in terms of outing people. I think maybe Anita's just a nicer person than I am.
No, I think it's okay to out. No. I think it's okay to out people. I just didn't personally do it.
Oh, no. But in the UK, right?
What'd you out people for, Anita?
She didn't personally do it. Do you think maybe she didn't personally do it because there was nothing actually criminal going on there?
Yeah.
Recently, there have been a couple of cases where high-profile trolls and people who attack women have been publicly outed and have faced social...
Attack women. Okay, let's look at that statement for a second. Attack women.
Attack a woman. That means attack all women.
Well, certainly we weren't attacked. I wasn't attacked. You weren't attacked.
Oh, I was totally attacked, but I didn't count because I don't agree with the women who were, yeah.
What are reasons? Because reasons. But attacked. This is an attack. The thing with an attack is you don't decide when it ends and when it begins.
Yeah.
Specifically, you don't decide when it ends. Because, they have a law, I think, in Canada that after 3 punches and you punch back, it's mutual violence. Yeah. Because you've decided to continue it. You decided to continue it. Okay. Yeah. If you get something where you can decide how long you engage with it, it's not an attack.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that out there. Let people, if you're listening to me, poke holes in my logic. But if you can decide to stop, if you can decide to delete it, if you can decide to mute it, if you can decide to ban it, how is it an attack? If you can decide how long you want to engage with it, how is it an attack?
Yeah.
It's an attack. You can't stop. You don't get to decide when it ends.
Yeah.
Okay.
The things that happens is when that occurs is that men and boys suddenly understand that there are social costs as well as social rewards to engaging in this kind of misogynistic gameplay. The response.
Okay, wait a second. Wait a second.
No, it's essentially she's endorsing vigilante justice.
Yeah.
Just
Okay,
like
well, she's a despicable human being then.
just like Steph Guthrie did on the stand. And I have to admire Anita Sarkeesian for not fucking playing that game, because I can guarantee you, even if there was no evidence whatsoever of anybody individually, having committed any kind of crime against her, right? If she had said, this dude here who lives at this address and works at this freaking place is the one who's been like, really sending me horrible things on Twitter, that guy would have been fired, right?
This is a thug.
Oh yeah. No, even just look at her.
She is a fucking thug. And she's not even the kind of thug that has the nuts to actually get her own hands dirty.
Mhm.
She thinks that she can stand behind this kind of crap and push and do her thuggery by proxy.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make her a thug.
Of course.
She is a thug, and she is part of she is inheriting a system of proxy violence that includes lynching men in the 30s, the 50s, lynching men in America.
Irish men, black men, yep.
Italian men, and all the marginalized men. Oh, you thug. You fucking thug.
Yeah.
There's always been, well, you're attacking men's freedom of speech. Oh my God,
No, you're attacking men.
Yeah.
You are justifying violence against people who disagree with you. Even again, what you're doing is you are receiving something, a mean tweet, an email, a fucking comment on a YouTube channel, whatever. You get to choose how long you get to engage in it. Do you think the man gets to choose how long he has to engage with your attack back on him? There is proportionality here.
Yeah.
Send a mean tweet back. Send a mean email back. If it's a credible threat, inform the police.
Yeah.
But don't destroy someone's fucking life just because they...
Honestly, when I think about, because, like Peter Hitchens said in that debate at Oxford, the Oxford Union, he said, there's a Facebook page that's called out there, I'm informed, that's called Peter Hitchens Must Die, right? And he's like, that's fine, essentially, is his position on that. That's fine. People can have that page. I don't care. It's fine, right? Now, essentially, I have a Tumblr blog that was started years ago, and I think it's now defunct, right? But it was called Girl Hates What, and it had my face all bruised and battered up, photoshopped onto a old, sort of Good Housekeeping magazine cover from like the 1960s of a woman handing a man a casserole, and he's smoking his pipe, and he's like, "Oh, casserole, that's great, honey," and he's gonna pat her on the bottom or something like that. And it was dedicated. It was literally dedicated to hating me. It was dedicated to hating me, right? Like, is there a website called IHateAnitaSarkeesian.com? Is there one? I mean, there's lots of people who criticize her, right? But is there like one like massive website that serves as a clearinghouse for all the Anita Sarkeesian hate?
I don't think so, but
I don't think so. I think maybe that would be something that an enterprising individual might consider. But I
think that she would consider it an excellent resource for herself as well.
I do think so as well. But I look at it and I'm like, okay, so there's somebody out there, maybe somebody's, right, who is so devoted to following me around and looking at every comment I make on Reddit and every comment I make on Discus and every comment I make on Livefire and every comment I make everywhere that they can track, and just kind of just reproducing it and like making some really nasty commentary about what a like evil, horrible, nasty cunt of a person I am, right? That's okay. Right? That's fine.
Well, you just choose not to look at it. If it bothers you that much, that's what I do.
It just like, I'll look at it. I'll look at it and I'll like kind of laugh at it and go like, what the fuck is this person smoking? But I mean,
to be honest, when I see stuff like that personally, and I'll let you finish there, but it's like I look at that, I'm like, well, that sucks. That doesn't. I'm not going to say that I enjoy seeing this directed at me. I'm not going to say I enjoy it. But on the other hand, I don't really care that much about my feelings. I don't know how to explain this to Anita and this other person, but I don't find my feelings to be that compelling.
they're not the most important thing.
No, they're not the most important thing. So it's like I can see someone saying I hate, and sometimes it pisses me off because they insult my ability to do work. That really gets to me. So if you're listening and you're a troll, like, yeah.
That's how to really get to Allison.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, that's how to get to me. But but ultimately my feelings are, I don't really give that much of a shit. I've noticed if I don't give too much of a shit, the feeling tends to change over time. And it evolves.
The weirdest thing, if you don't feed it, it just starves.
Yeah, it sort of goes away. And then, so it's like, I'll look at that and I'll be like, oh, that sucks. And then I'll not look at it anymore. And that's what I do. I just don't look at it, and the feeling goes away. The feeling of discomfort goes away. And then I remember, I don't really give that much of a shit about my comfort. I give a hell of a lot more of a shit about my ability and everyone's ability to speak on the internet, to have freedom of speech and not be censored. And I also give a hell of a shit, many fucks. Many fucks do I give for all of the issues that I've advocated over the last 15 years for. Suicide, men's suicide, parental alienation, insane alimony, false rape accusation, men being rape victims, men being victims of domestic violence. These are the things I give a shit about. These are the things that actually can make me feel miserable for days. Not somebody saying some stupid shit about me. Because I don't really give that much of a fuck about my own feelings.
Well, okay, Allison, in light of that, I just want to tell you, after you defrizzed your hair, it looked much better today.
I didn't even think that I successfully frizzed it, so thank you.
Well, no, I was gonna like kind of, lead you to think that, after you defrizzed your hair, I was gonna say like, yeah, no, it looked totally the same, but no, it looked better. But
I you know what? I don't like, I'm not really excessively I know my hair is frizzy. I do my best.
With your appearance.
You're not, what did you say about my appearance?
You're not that concerned with your appearance, neither am I.
Yeah, it's like I'm concerned up to a point. Like it's like, and this is the thing. Like I don't
pull out of bed.
I sometimes I don't shave my pits or my legs. It's not because I want to make a statement. It's because I'm lazy as fuck.
That's right. No, this morning, because I knew I had to do pictures with Dan, because Dan is a photographer and he came, to see me, and he wanted
to share your lumberjack beard finally.
I shaved my pits in the shower, and like my razor was clogged like 4 times and had to be rinsed out. That's how long it had been since I'd shaved my pits. And it's not a statement of, oh, go women and body something positivity. It's just like, I don't feel like doing it. And I'm not really out there to like some people. Some people tell me you should wear makeup. You should wear makeup in your videos, and and grow your hair long. And I'm like,
oh, that's an effort.
What am I here to fucking solicit dates? What?
Yeah, you already got one. So do I. I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. It's like, yeah, thank you. My appearance, I already am married, so I think that I have sufficiently fulfilled that criteria in my life.
And my boyfriend
is checked.
My boyfriend doesn't care if I have like 1/4 inch of armpit hair, and he likes my hair short, and I like my hair short, and so isn't that interesting? And it's much easier to deal with. And makeup is a pain in the ass, and then in the morning when you get up, you have to like really scrub to get it off, and no, I don't have time for that. And people don't take me as seriously when I'm actually talking about certain issues if I am trying to be sexually attractive. Isn't that interesting? When you're trying to be overtly sexually attractive, people are not as interested in your opinion on the economy.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like,
and that's the same way with men too. I can't imagine a man who was like, had his jeans riding really low, so you can see that ridge of muscle just, sort of between his abdominal muscles and his hip bones, and he's like half taking off his shirt and he's talking about the economy. I don't think anybody would take him seriously too.
All right. I think we need to finish this, though.
Okay,
I'm not sure how we went on this long tangent about...
I don't know either, but...
I think it's just because we're women.
I think it's just because I have such bad allergies right now that I feel like I'm going to sneeze any second. Okay, but I'm going to just click play instead.
It's awful, freedom, all this freedom of speech stuff fails to understand that the clear and present threat to freedom of speech is to the freedom of speech of women, girls, and
No. And here's the fucking payload. And this is when it becomes so fucking topical to today. This is okay. All right. The mosh pit thing. Okay. The feminists are up in arms against mosh pits because mosh pits are apparently ableist because people with physical disabilities can't get in there and mosh. So they want to close them down completely. What you are suggesting is not creating free speech for women, but taking away free speech for everyone.
Yeah.
And guess what? Free speech means you get to dissent. Means you get to say to Anita, you fucking suck. And I wish you'd get raped.
And
that isn't a threat.
And free speech also means that Anita is free to say, why is it that 98% of school shooters are white males? Isn't that interesting? It's toxic masculinity. She's free to say that.
And we're free to tear her to the fucking part. Tear her reasoning to pieces. And we're free to compete with minds over that. We're free to try to make our arguments cognizant and interesting and funny and entertaining to the point where we get enough people to say, hey, you're right. That's total bullshit. 98% of school shooters are also mentally ill. Should we start shaming people with depression?
The whole point of free speech, right, is to protect the speech of the marginalized. That's what it's there for. It's the most marginalized. The most marginalized in society will always come down to the individual, whether they're, however oppressed they are on the intersectional axes of oppression that feminists harp on about, whatever. So the entire concept of free speech is what allows that Black trans woman, unemployed fucking, person who freaking, I don't know, she does vaginal knitting. I don't fucking know what she does, or he, or whatever anybody wants to call it. But it's to protect that person's speech, right? It protects David Duke. It protects TJ Sotomayor, right? It protects me. It protects freaking Rebecca Watson and Lori Penny and Anita Sarkeesian and all of these stupid feminists who are advocating against it. It protects that freaking Kate Brooks at that Oxford Union debate. It protects her right to speak. It protects everybody's fucking right to speak. Everybody. And the reason that we enshrined it in our constitutions, in our bills of rights and freedoms, in all of these things, right? The whole reason we enshrined that as one of the primary rights, the First Amendment, the very first one.
Yep.
Is because not to protect the speech of the people who are popular, but to protect the speech of the people who are unpopular. Nobody's gonna try to curtail
The government is not going to try to curtail the speech of someone who says, oh, the government's just doing wonderfully. Everything's just going swimmingly. Government's just like they're doing a bang up job. Everything's great. We're all fine. Well, the fucking bombs drop. Oh, no, it's all great. Government's doing it. They're on it. It's all great. They're great, right? Government's not going to try and curtail that speech, right? They're going to curtail the speech of people that they find to be a thorn in their side, that they find to be someone that they just don't support, or the populace doesn't support them. The people, the majority who are white and straight, right? If you give the government the license to curtail free speech, and then the government suddenly 10 years from now, and you gave the government that right to do that because you wanted to protect that black trans woman, that black trans lesbian, okay, who's unemployed and, I don't know, fucking does underwater basket weaving, right? You want to protect her right to speak. And so you allow the government to curtail free speech. And then at some point 10 years from now, I don't know, things change, circumstances change, the economy tanks. There are people actually really going hungry in this country. There are people really going hungry in America, okay? And now you have the majority who are white, who are straight, who are cisgendered, who are not disabled, and they're all screaming to cull the undesirables, right? And the government is like, fuck, if we don't actually go along with the majority of our populace, we might not last too long. So let's curtail the speech of this black trans lesbian basket weaver, and let's curtail the speech of these feminists who are pissing me off, and let's curtail the speech of all these other people who are actually marginalized, Hispanics and gays and lesbians and, queers and all of these people. Let's curtail their speech, because right now in this situation, if we want to maintain our power, we have to appeal to the mob. And the mob at this moment, right? At this moment, when it's not a time of plenty, when it's not a time of prosperity, when it's not a time of unprecedented safety, right? This mob stopped caring about those people. It stopped wanting to look after them. It stopped wanting to protect them. It started wanting to protect itself. So we're going to go with what they say now. And you want to speak against it? Yeah, fuck you. You don't have free speech. No, we don't agree. We don't agree with what you say, so you don't get to say it.
Okay. There's another aspect to this. What they're like I said, what they're proposing is not actually giving women free speech.
No,
it's giving women the speech that they want to give women.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to have free speech in this regime. It's still you're not entitling women to free speech. You're just entitling women to agree with your point of view. And once again, I might add, you cannot question if feminism actually benefits women. That's a question you can't ask. So we're only able to agree with an ideology we can't actually question. That's it. That's our only. That's not free speech for women. It's not free speech for men. So they're essentially taking free speech away from everyone.
Yeah.
In order to so-called protect women. But here's what really gets me. This is what really pisses me off about all of this. They don't see the meat hooks here. And one of them you've identified, Karen.
Yeah.
You take away free speech, and believe me, the government will use it against you eventually. But this is the other meat hooks that they don't seem to recognize, that these feminists don't seem to recognize. They are using these affectations of vulnerability, of being in danger as women, to push through or to make governments and the UN to seriously consider legislation to restrict freedom on the internet. They're using that. They're using this affectation of how vulnerable they are for women. But they don't realize that throughout history, every situation in which women have accepted their freedoms being curtailed, They've accepted the harem. They've accepted the burqa. They've accepted their broken feet. Every situation in which that has occurred, it is because someone has said to the women, oh, you need to do this or the bad man will get you.
Yeah.
And what happens is women accept that out of fear of the bad man. So ultimately, the greatest oppression of women has been practiced through the narrative that the bad man will get you if you don't submit to this shit. And it's not just men saying it, it's also other women, as you can see here. You got to submit to your loss of freedom, ladies, or the bad man will get you.
Yeah. No,
That's how
they're all being fitted for burqas.
Yeah, we're all being fitted for burqas because not only are they using this narrative, the bad man will get you, and look at how vulnerable all the women are, they don't see the meat hook in there, which is this. At some point in time, when you continually emphasize the weakness and vulnerability of women, the fact that they need to be protected, at some point, the people in power, and sometimes it's women, but it's mostly men, will prioritize your safety over your freedom.
Always.
So what you're ultimately arguing for, Anita, is that when people realize they cannot control the fucking net, they will control you. They will control me. They will control Karen. They will control Rachel. They will control Anna. They will control Hannah. They will control everyone with a vagina. When they realize they cannot protect us, they will constrict us. You fucking idiot!
Oh, dear. No, it's...
And you never see that.
They don't.
You never see it.
You know
You
why?
never see that pit that you're walking towards.
You know why?
Why?
You know why they don't see it? You know why they don't see it? Because they see those measures that were enacted by men and women, right, as part of a patriarchal conspiracy to subjugate women. Part of a patriarchal conspiracy to benefit men at the expense of women. They don't see it as what it is, which is doing what it takes to protect women.
Yeah, they don't see it. They don't recognize that it's always done. Oh, you better put this on.
Yeah, no,
you can only see your eyes because the bad man will get you.
Yeah, no, it's they don't see that instinct, right? That instinct on the part of both men and women to restrict women's freedoms has always come from a motivation of keeping women safe, right? Even if they were unhappy, at least they were safe. Even if they were unfulfilled, at least they were safe, right?
Yeah.
That's where that motivation came from. It didn't come from a motivation of malevolence. It didn't come from a motivation of hatred, misogyny. It didn't come from a motivation of wanting to control and exploit women. It came from a motivation primarily in almost every culture. In every culture that I have looked at the restrictions placed on women, I can trace it back, right? Oh, of course, you could, if you did really, really good mental gymnastics, trace it back to misogyny. But the primary motivation and Occam's razor seemed to lead me to this idea that, oh, we keep women safe, we keep women provided for, we make sure men are obligated to provide for women, we make sure that women are restricted in ways that maintain that obligation. That seems to be the motivation in every society where women have been restrained in this way. And so it's not a malevolent motivation. It's not a motivation based in hatred, right? And that's why they don't see this coming.
No.
They don't see it coming because they believe that it was based in misogyny. It was based in women hating. It was based in the desire to benefit men at the expense of women rather than the desire to keep women safe at the expense of men's lives.
Well, yeah. They don't see it. They don't realize that they are tipping it. And I could see this. I mean, you and me can see this. They are building up this threat narrative so big, eventually the balance will tip. And people will start to say, well, okay, this threat is so big, we can't allow women. We can't allow them to be exposed to it.
Yeah, no. So they need to stay home.
So they need to stay. We need to unplug their modems.
Modestly when they're outdoors. And
We
they need
can't
to
allow
be supported
them
by
to
a male family member, and they need their women-only trains, and so we need to have like no mixing. We need to have total segregation of the sexes, and pretty soon we're at Orthodox Judaism.
Yeah, and they don't see that they build it up so high that eventually, and they don't realize that what they're playing with, what they're actually playing with, and this is the fucking irony. Is that you can see it. You can see this is rolling down the hill. The bigger they build this idea that women are in threat, the sooner it tips into, oh, we can't let them be exposed to the threat.
Yeah.
We can't let them. It's like, God damn it. Why do you have to deconstruct just because you got a fucking mean tweet that said you sucked? This is it. This is what's going to probably end up restricting women's freedoms on the internet is this. Some fucking idiot got a tweet in which she said, you suck. And then she constructed this entire narrative to take away freedom on the internet so she couldn't be criticized. Yeah. You gotta suck it up, Buttercup. You gotta suck it up.
Like, I don't understand, like, I still can't wrap my head around the idea that someone would be upset about what random people you don't even know, and most of whom can't even fucking spell or punctuate, say about them or to them on Twitter. Like, who the fuck cares? Who cares? Ugh.
Well, it's not worth our freedom.
It's not even worth a night of lying awake, wondering, oh, I just, that guy really hurt my feelings. No, it's not even worth that. Fuck's sake.
Right now, the problem that we're facing is clearly a freedom of speech issue, and anybody who cares about keeping the internet free should care about this as a matter of priority.
Yes, they should. They should care what ladies are trying to do.
Yes, we should very much care what you three thugs are up to. All right.
It's like a way to end this conversation that...
I'm clapping. I'm applauding. Oh, wait. I'm using jazz hands. Jazz hands.
All right, jazz hands. Okay. All right. Oh, my God. So that's how internet freedom dies.
That is how it all goes away.
Dies. It all deteriorates. That's their ultimate game. It's like, oh my God. And yes, they're right. Anybody who cares about freedom of speech on the internet does need to keep a very close eye on those three. Keep your eye on them. In particular, the one in the middle, because she seems like she's going to go far.
Yeah.
With her ideas.
Yeah. All the way to the UN and beyond. To the UN and beyond.
Jesus Christ. I'm laughing, but I'm also crying a little. Fuck. No, it's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta
close. We have 1 hour. 1 hour.
I know, 1 hour.
Now, and when we're supposed to be on. I might be late. I do have like several people to feed. And so
yeah, we got to end this so you can feed those people and also get the ad up for tonight.
Oh my God, the ad.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I know everything has been sort of delayed.
Oh,
but,
yeah. It was okay. So who has the ad for tonight?
I got it. Don't worry, I can get it to you.
Send it through Skype.
I will. And anybody listening, we'll probably rant a bit more tonight in about an hour. Same Badger channel, same Badger station. And if you, like us, are tired of this shit and want to make sure it doesn't continue, and you want to express a little rage at this crap, It's insane shit that's going on.
Yeah, no, it's pretty fucked up.
Yes, please consider help us out by becoming a patron, and together we can do something, maybe, hopefully, to continue to speak out against this shit on the internet, and this idea that literally what they're advancing is that in order to save free speech on the internet, you have to end free speech
on the
on
internet.
the internet. Okay, thank you. Good night.